Thank you guys so much for coming back. I hope that you are having a beautiful day. Now, I'm Chisa Penix Brown, and I am the host and the lifestylist at Real Ass Affirmations podcast. And we decided this year to bring in some of our wonderful guests. And when I say guests, each one of these guests is going to be someone who listens to Real Ass Affirmations. And so Affirmation-ish became a part of something that, we wanted to be able to highlight the people that actually listen to the podcast and just see what their life is with the affirmations, see what they're doing, and see how it affects them. So this is real confident conversation because we know that the people that listen to Real Ass Affirmations are all about getting their lives together and hopefully making everybody else's life a little bit better as well. So today I have a special guest, and let me tell you why she's so special, because we are 12 hours apart, okay? This beautiful woman is all the way over in Beijing, y'all. And let me tell you, I just think it's so wonderful when you get to see, really see how something as so simple as a podcast, how it affects other people's lives. And this is why I think our voices and our words are important, and we need to be intentional about the energy that we put out in the air. So Chanel, I want to welcome you to the show. Go ahead, honey. Let the people know who you are and what in the world are you doing all the way over in Beijing. Let me know what you are doing over there, girl. Let the people know. Just unmute yourself and just give it to the people. Let them know all about you.
All right. Hello, everyone. How y'all doing? Hello. Thank you so much, Issa. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for asking. How are you doing?
I am doing great. I mean, today's a good day to have a great interview. And, one of the things that I thought was so interesting was, people will send messages and they'll say, oh, okay, I've been listening to the podcast. But when we did our 100th episode, I got so many, DMs and messages and inboxes and emails and stuff. And people were just saying congratulations. And what's so awesome is even the day that we released it, I went to an event and there was a gentleman there that I wouldn't think he'd be listening to it, but he was just like, those real ass affirmations. So that let me know that people that you don't even think are paying attention are looking, are listening, and are waiting for new episodes to come out. So I know you said that your friend Chica is the reason that you started listening. So, let us know a little bit of background.
So, yes, my friend Chica, before she left Beijing to go to Philly, hey, Chica, that she shared with me Real Ass Affirmations. I was going through a transition, and I could say I'm still going through it. And she saw that I needed something to give me that extra boost to get through it. Sometimes you have these little stumbling blocks and you stay stagnant. So we would share and exchange books and podcasts to just lift us up. So she shared your podcast, and it stuck with me because one, you give us that dose of affirmations, not too long, not too short, get your point across. But also because the way you relay the affirmations would be if I were having an inner dialogue. This would be something that I would say, but just not out loud. This is how I do my affirmations. This is how, and I felt very connected with it. My very first episode was Blossom. And at that time, that was everything that I needed to hear as explanation as to what was going on in my life, is that I was blossoming. So some people were going to be there and Some people weren't. So my favorite episode is Eminem. And that is definitely something that I would have had that correlation, like this green M&M over here, this, oh, you ain't nothing but a red M&M. That correlation to life, something so relatable. I enjoyed that. And I applied it to my life and said, you know what? There are some people who fit the bill as this green M&M. There are some people that fit the brown M&M, and at times I could be one of these M&Ms. So
Yes, yes. And I think one of the things, because some people always ask, like, well, where do you come up with the affirmations from? And I'm just like, just observing. And I think that, you know, for me, and I'm surprised, well, not surprised, but it's always interesting to see which ones people like. But the thing about something like M&M's is you could actually say it out loud in front of people and they won't know what you're talking about. But you know what you
That's
mean, right? And if there's somebody else that was listening to the podcast, it's kind of like your own inside joke that you don't have to explain to people. But I think it's interesting when you said that these are things that you would want to say, but necessarily not say out loud. And that to me is important too, because sometimes the environment that you're in, you can't say things out loud. Or you just don't want to, just because it could escalate situations. But I think that, when I put the whole thing of the shit you need to say to get you through your day, sometimes this is what you need to say. So I always envision somebody would be like frustrated and they didn't have anywhere that they could turn, and they would go get in their car at lunchtime and just be like, let me listen because I'm so frustrated, right? So it would be a way to bring that, like you said, that inner dialogue, but that inner peace to yourself. And then you'd be able to go back and conquer the day. So have you found that, you've been able to use it that way? Like, when do you listen to it? Like, is it the morning, afternoon, after something bad has happened, or what is usually your focus when you're listening?
I usually listen whenever, well, it would be a time difference. So whenever it uploads and I see the notification, that is when I would listen. So whether it be in the morning for me, more than likely I would try to listen to it in the morning, but I try my best to listen whenever it airs.
Now, tell us, how in the world did you get all the way to Beijing? Because when she told me it was going to be a 12-hour time difference, I was like, okay, well, first of all, we were just listening. We were figuring out that it was a 12-hour time difference, because I'm like, okay, this is what time it is here. What time is it where you're at? And I'm like, okay, we have such a drastic time difference, but we're going to make this work, right? And so the question would be, how did you get to Beijing? Because, when I think about the fact of, I'll look at stats, right? And it'll tell you like where in the world people were listening. I didn't think that there was a Black woman over there in Beijing that was giving me stats, you know what I'm saying? And trying to, so you're giving up stats overseas, girl. So how'd you get over there? Give us a little background.
Okay, so in 2015, I graduated from undergrad with my degree in teaching, my master's in teaching English as a second language. So I decided then that I wanted to go abroad and teach. I didn't want to stay in the States. I've seen the struggle that my mom has gone through being a teacher, being an educator, and I wanted to go beyond. And from my classmates then, I saw that, oh, there's opportunities to travel abroad and teach. Oh, well, sign me up.
Yeah.
So I was working for a year and decided that where I was at, working 2 jobs, that was not where it was at. So 2016 is when I finally had the nerve to say, you know what, I'm going to research and shoot for places abroad. I'm no longer trying to just find places in the States to work. I want to go and see how far I can go. So I was applying to different countries in South America, in Europe, and China, and boop, China hit. And I was like, okay, I mean, I've never thought that I would go to China. So let's see if this is real. Let's see what this is about. Further along with the interview process, I got a job. I was offered a job, then went further along. There's things like you have to get the visa. I started, things started manifesting where it started becoming real. Like my timeline was rolling down. I sold my car because I was like, okay, I'm not going to need it. I don't know how long I'm going to be there. All I know is that when I'm there, I'm going to make it. If I can make it here, I know I'm definitely going to be able to make it there. So actually this month will be, the 28th will be my 6-year anniversary out here in Beijing.
Woo,
so
congratulations.
Right?
So all of the good sound effects and everything. So I would imagine that you are probably in a smaller group of people. You very easily stick out. How do you find that, because when we talk about real confident conversation, it was a thing that you wanted to do personally, but then once you got there, just the difference in the culture, and then, being confident in the fact that, yes, I can teach these people, I can relate to these people, and these people, should possibly take into consideration accepting me as well. Because a lot of times when you go to different cultures, people don't accept it. And then sometimes it may be some, cultural differences that you have to kind of get over. But I think being able to walk in and be confident had to be something that is in there. So how did that work for you once you got there?
Well, there is always the initial culture shock. There's only so much you can prepare for. You have to actually be here to understand how things work. So there was so much I was trying to research prior to, like how many Black people are here, what things will I be able to buy, can I get my hair products here, different things like that. Things like that was on my mind to see, okay, I know I'm going to a place that is culturally different than my own. What are there people that are able to make it? And if so, how do they do it? So just being here, luckily there was a group of people, a group of Black folks that I was able to connect with. There was my friend, Latondra, that we both work at the same job at the time, Disney English, when it was open. And we would then just go to different events with Black people. That was just the way to meet people, was to just go to events. If you're not working with somebody Black, then you will go to an event and you'll find somebody Black, and then y'all would just link up from there. Yeah. And we did that when I first got here in 2016 on, and it was just pretty easy to meet different people from different walks of life. Some people were diplomats. Some people are also teachers at training centers. Some people were teachers at private institutions. Some people were DJs, event planners, worked at big name companies. Like, you never knew, but it's just like you vibe with certain people. Some people you didn't now, but it was just good to meet someone. There are, and still is, the biases that come from the country. Trying to keep it safe here, but like, I'm still living here, so let me keep it safe. The powers that be.
That's why I said we want you to, but I just would imagine, like, even when people travel, it's like you want to be a part of what's going on, but sometimes you do realize that there are probably places you don't travel, or there are things that you don't, do. And I would just imagine that there are people still who have probably never seen a Black woman, and so this is just my opinion. I think that on average, the average Black woman probably walks in a room in a confident stance. You know what I mean? And so a lot of times when you look at just different things from different countries or even different areas, because it could be here in the US, sometimes people may see women in a certain light, and just the energy that you give off may not be appreciated. And I mean, I've had that happen here, but I think that it's one of those things where you have to see where you fit in, but still just kind of let people know, but I am here and I am qualified to do what I'm doing. And, there's that level of respect that then people do give off once they understand who you are and what you're about. So I always think that it's interesting. And I've never met anybody that just moved and just left and went over. Now, I've met some people that went over seas for like jobs for a certain amount of time, but not to stay there in the duration that you stay there. So I think that that's interesting. And I'm sure that you have so many stories. I can see at some point in time, girl, you writing a book, or, maybe even you doing your own podcast, to just talk about your experiences. But of course, you wait till after you leave, we don't want any problems. But
Right.
you definitely don't want no smoke. So how would you say just being by yourself, right? Because I mean, even if you have people that you meet that are friends and stuff like that, do you use the affirmations in a way to, just like relate to other things, or to even feel like maybe you're in the States for a little bit, or, how do you use them to kind of get through some things?
Well, the affirmations to me, they gave me that sense of home, that dose of wisdom that I'm not around my family. So the affirmations to me would be something that my granny would say, my grandmother, and she's no longer with us, but that would be in my mind something that she would say, because I would normally go to my grandmother and be like, Grandma, this is what's going on, and sit there and listen to her and just feel refreshed, renewed, rejuvenated. So by listening to the affirmation, that's like my dose of that euphoric feeling, that nostalgia. That, okay, grandma's not here, but you know what? I can listen to this affirmation and it get me right where I need to be, set me straight. There's been times where it's been a little challenging here, and that's life. I can say that I've grown more as a woman and more unapologetically as a Black woman here, because I know I am going to stand out in this culture. And it's in that way, it's like strengthened me to be more of that. I know I'm Black. I can't turn this off, but I can be the best Black that I can be. Ooh. I know I'm an educator and you're going to question me and my credentials, but you know what? I can prove it by the way that I nurture and teach your children and educate your children about different walks of life other than what they're used to. I can let my work ethic, I can let my confidence speak for itself. So it's helped maintain that, especially give me that dose that rejuvenates. Sometimes you pour out so much that you neglect yourself. And, sometimes you just need to withdraw and just come back. Just come back to yourself and say, you know what? I'm giving too much out. I know I'm a baddie. It's like, look, I'm a baddie. I'm out here doing what I need to do. I'm a boss. But sometimes boss needs to take a nap.
I fully 110% agree with that. And I mean, you just giving it to me, like I can feel it and I can hear it. And I'm sure when everybody else listens too, they'll be able to like just hear it in your voice, because I think that whole narrative of the strong Black woman has in a lot of ways been impactful and empowerment, kind of filled for us. But it's also something that has given us that a stigma of like, we can handle everything and anything that the world throws at us, which I still do believe that too. But, just because you're the strong one or you can be strong doesn't mean that you have to be that all the time. And there are so many different nuances to being a Black woman that I think it has been ingrained in us, and it probably is a part of our DNA to continue on regardless of what the situation is. But there has to come a time where we understand, well, look, we are soft too. We can, cry if we need to. And, one thing I can say for me, I told my friend, so we're watching, I'm getting my hair done the other day, and Ellen is getting ready to go off, right? So she's getting ready to finish up her whole, Ellen show thing. And there's this lady on there, and I don't even watch those type of shows, but that's what's on at the beauty shop. So the lady had came on the show, I think in like probably around close to the time that maybe you were there, 2015 or so. She came on the show. It was really great. Ellen ended up giving this lady a car, and the lady was so grateful. Then the next thing you know, Ellen gave this lady a house. They built her a house. She was so grateful. The next time she comes on the show, she's got stage 4 cancer. And when I saw her and she's got on her little hat because her hair was going by that time, she was still grateful and still, in that same spirit. And then this one for 2022, her daughter comes on, her youngest daughter, because the lady had passed away 3 years ago. I just fell apart and I just started crying, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm just like, and I just got the tears coming out, and, she gives me a napkin and, and I'm wiping the tears, and I'm like, I used to not be so like affected. And mind you, you're only learning about this lady for like 3 to 4 minutes. And in that little time frame, I just felt like, oh my God, like, can you just imagine? And I'm thinking to myself, like, sometimes you just need to have that softness with you. And I hope that, people will understand when doing the affirmations, I'm going through stuff too. So you'll see some that are super peppy and, over extra. And then you'll see some that are kind of like mid-tone. And then I would hope sometimes you can also tell, there are some that you go through where you can tell it's a little bit more somber in the tone because maybe there's something else that's happening. And so not trying to be in one mold all the time, I think helps people to kind of relate to it too, because you can see that there are other things going on. So have you found that there have been times where, you just needed something a little bit calmer? You didn't need to be hyped up that day, but maybe that one can kind of make you reflect on just a better time. Because maybe at the time you're hyped up and you're not in a somber mood. But then you can also kind of relate to that. Or do you go back to some episodes, if you feel like you need, to hear a certain thing again?
Yes, definitely. If there's something that I feel like I need, if I feel like I'm off track, let me go listen to Crown. If I feel like somebody trying me, let me go listen to Eminem. If I feel like I'm doing something and I'm just glowing, let me listen to Blossom. Let me go ahead and listen to these, whatever one that's related to my mood at the time or what I feel I need at the time. Let me go listen to that. Because maybe it's something that I need to hear again. Yeah, I definitely replay. Sure.
Love that. So tell me, since you're over there, what are some of the wonderful things that you've been able to experience? And I would say, as a person who's living there, where if you were just traveling, you might have missed it. Like some of the great stuff that people don't tell you about or that you don't see in any of the travel things. What's some of the great stuff that you really appreciate, being a resident right now?
I could say the COVID protocols, since I've been living with this for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
That is definitely a night and day comparison to what I'm hearing back in the States. I don't know. I don't know if I would be able to go outside back in the States. I would be paranoid. The mindset is different from the mindsets in the state of back in the States of anytime you can get it, you're going to get you anytime. It's a matter of time that you'll get it, to being here where it's we don't want it at all.
Logical. That sounds much more logical, doesn't it?
It's a complete difference. It's less, gonna say more people are in compliance, and being that this is my host country, it behooves me not to comply. I'm that's all affected to my visa. If you're saying you want me to wear a mask because it means it's safer for other people as well as myself, me being an empathetic person, yes, I want to make sure I'm safe first and foremost, but I can also make sure other people are safe. Sure. Why not? It's not going to harm me in doing so. So different things like that. It's just night and day. Being here for the holidays, some of the holidays like Spring Festival or Shini and Kuala, and seeing how a lot of the celebrations, they're revolving, they're around family and being together. And that I don't have my immediate family with me, I've created a community of people from either doing different markets, because I am also a baker here, that one of my friends, her and her partner created this platform called the Black Expo. So a lot of people around China that have businesses or budding entrepreneurs were able to meet up with other Black entrepreneurs and sell. When things were running more, Black women of Beijing, I've joined that one. It was bigger. Now it's a little bit smaller because a lot of people left. Mm-hmm. And I've been picked as one of the co-leaders of it, that I can bring together the Black women population, different groups like that I've seen that I wasn't able to do necessarily back at home. But being here, it seems a lot more united because our numbers are small in opposed to the rest of the population. So,
and fully embrace that because, I went to a PWI. I went to Elon College then, but now Elon University. And I felt like us Black people there, because we were the minority, it did give me a sense of pride and a sense of togetherness and a way to do things. Mm-hmm. And I still do things a lot in the same exact way that we did them at Elon, because we had that sense of camaraderie and that sense of just togetherness and not doing stuff over top of when somebody else was doing something, and supporting each other. And that's just how I was, college-wise raised, that you do that and you try to support the other people, even sometimes if you didn't like them, but because they were Black, because they were doing something positive, you wanted to be supported, when it came to that. So give us a little bit about Suga Mama Bakery, though, because, I would imagine that all of these tasty goods that you're making over there, they may not have had them over there the way that you're making, your baked goods. So tell us about that and how that's being received.
Well, Suga Mama Bakery is in homage to my mother. She was the baker for the holidays. Like, I look forward to the holidays because I knew my mom was going to be whipping up something sweet in the kitchen. I was that kid who was in there like, Mom, is it done yet? Is it done yet? Until she's just like, sit here and help me with this. So yeah. That, and then I got of age where I was able to drive. So then it's like, go to the store and get me this, so I started to know what things I wanted. It wasn't until I went abroad that I realized I missed that. And that wasn't in abundance here. If you wanted something sweet, culturally, this is not the place to really get certain desserts.
More savory over there than sweet.
Yes, unless you're in Hong Kong. So most stuff is, especially in mainland, if you want something sweet, you might need to make it yourself or find a baker that you know is going to put their foot in it. So I decided to start baking things. And, it was smaller. It's grown over time, but it really flourished during the pandemic when everything was locked down. So I had more time to own my craft. And I was doing things with cakes that I didn't, that was like, oh, that's too professional. I was making fondant from scratch and doing fondant decorated cakes. And I was doing cookies and doing gelatin, space looking cakes, like all those different things that I was learning how to do. Self-taught now, YouTube University. and making them and looking at it like, wow, I did that only because I applied myself. So now I am getting back into that because I came here originally for my career, which I feel thus far is stable enough. But I also know that backup of having Suga Mama there helped me out a lot. And I can build that into being that income that I want. This is one of those, I need to put the work, I need to invest in it. And I'm in this investment season all the way around in my life right now. To myself, to my finances, to my business, my career. So I am currently in the process of relaunching and catering more towards the diaspora. Not excluding people, but catering more toward us.
Ooh.
So we'll just see how that works. I have
work. We're not gonna see. It's just gonna work out well, because I just see when you're telling me this. I always tell people I like to prophesy, like, I can listen and then just get a feeling from somebody, but there is a immediate favor of uniqueness in what you're providing and where you're providing it. And the scarcity of what you're providing is something that should allow it to, like we said, blossom, right? It should allow that to blossom because they're not going to be able to get it from anywhere else, right? And so that scarcity creates a demand. And I think that, one thing that we know is sugar is addictive, honey. Okay. So if you give them the Suga Mama, you give them that personality, you give them that background, that history, and then the love that is infused with the things that you make. I mean, I just can't see it being anything else but successful, right? So I'm just going to prophesy that for you. So girl, get the relaunch on, go ahead and and just create, because I think when you are creating with a sense of love and a sense of purpose, it makes a huge difference in the final product, right? Like you can always tell when somebody kind of didn't do it as well as they could have, like an ingredient is off, a little taste is off. But when you get that taste and it's something that you can feel like, oh, okay, you know what? This is amazing. That also changes that price point too. So just always take that into consideration. Well, Chanel,
Yes.
I
Yes.
appreciate this so much, the opportunity to sit down and talk with you. And is there anything you'd like to leave the people with? Because we're just going to go a little bit over our 30 minutes, but is there anything you'd like to leave the people with as a final thought?
Yes, take that step. Just go on the other side of fear. If traveling is your thing, do it. Do it. The thing that you're probably most afraid of is the thing that you need to do the most. So just do it for yourself. You never know.
You better drop us a quote at the end. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much. And everybody, thank you for listening to this episode of Affirmationist, a part of Real Ass Affirmations podcast, which is the shit you need to say to get you through your day. And this has been another real confident conversation with a loyal listener of Real Ass Affirmations podcast. Make sure that you share, make sure that you listen, subscribe, and that you rate the podcast, because we definitely want to be in more places and spaces. And I appreciate you allowing us to be a part of your day whenever you listen to it, and just continue to share this message. And I guess if you go over to Beijing, you better look Chanel up. So we'll have her information in with the podcast so that this way you can connect with her online, and just keep being great. So make sure you always show up and show out and continue to give it to the people. Bye, guys.